Forever Family UK. Thank you so much for joining tonight's webinar. Apologize for the little delay. Every once in a while we have these updates that happen and they're never expected. So welcome tonight. My name is Holly Stout. I'm the Director of Product Development here at Forever Living Products. As always, so lovely to be with you and be able to talk about products and dive a little more deeply into the beauty of our formulas, the science, and understand really at that initial level where we're out looking for botanicals and all sorts of ingredients to use for our skincare formulas, how that process happens and how it comes together and how then it becomes a product that you actually get to enjoy. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to talk about skincare, we're going to talk about aloe vera in skincare, we're going to talk about the science of these formulas because everything we do is connected to science. When I initiate a project, I initiate it with a group of scientists. We have both a health and wellness scientific team and we have a personal care scientific team. And when we kick off a project, these scientists come to the table with a tremendous amount of experience and knowledge. And our personal care team has been working with aloe vera for over 45 years. So when you think of science, you think of aloe vera, there are other companies who do use aloe vera in their products. But I can assure you, looking at our team and seeing the dedication and having them present options for me with this beautiful plant called aloe vera, and being able to work with them and see the time, the energy, the strenuous, tedious task of finding products that actually come together in beautiful formulas with delicate textures and that actually perform the way we expect them to do is not always easy. So when we look at skincare, we know that our skin is actually something that you can communicate with. It has messages, it communicates, it talks to you. And I know that sounds weird, you've heard me say that before, but it actually really talks to you. And it provides you messages by way that, or actually it actually provides its history really in the way that it looks and it feels. Your skin goes through a pattern or a cycle of change and it reflects that change. And I know that some of us as we age, we take drastic measures to prevent that from happening. But the natural truth is our skin ages. And as it ages, certain things that we want to speed up actually slow down and things that we want to slow down speed up. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about skin. And that story that your skin tells. If you observe the messages that your skin tells, meaning if your skin is asking for something, if your skin is identifying, ooh, this activity outside in the environment really made my skin feel dry, or that wind that I experienced on that hike really created some dry patches, or my skin is really oily and I have an overabundance of oil. Our skin will actually tell you what it needs, and it does this by the way that it looks and it feels. Now, the beauty of Forever Skincare and our supplements is that you get, number one, a fast response. The perfect thing about skincare, especially in our business, is how immediate the benefits are. You can literally use a product the very first time and see tremendously remarkable results. In fact, that's one of the things I talk about when I'm sharing these products with other people outside of a Forever business owner. And yes, I actually do have the privilege and the pleasure of sharing these products with people who have never heard of Forever Living products. The one thing that I can't stress enough is the remarkable benefit they get after one time, but not just one time. I'll say if you got that result after the first time using these products, can you imagine the benefits you're going to receive after day 5 and week 3 and month 7 and year 2? I tell them the more you use these products, the more your skin responds. Your skin really does communicate with you, and it communicates very quickly. It will respond with balance, or it will respond with, hey, I need more of that moisturization, or that's not helping me cut through the oil, or my skin is very sensitive. So if you listen to the messages your skin is telling you and you respond with products designed to address individual needs, your skin responds back. It's like a two-way communication. So our skin is really smart, and what we learned in working with the scientists is that you communicate with your skin, you listen to what it's saying, it tells you what it needs, and then you respond with products that are optimized and customized to meet those individual needs. There was a study done in the United States on age and what makes somebody appear older or aging. What factors make them appear like they are older? And they were really curious about, is it the skin tone or is it the skin texture? Is it wrinkles or is it uneven patches of red or dry areas that really stand out? So they literally had a panel of people who were aging and they marched a different demographic. So they marched 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50, 60-year-olds in front of this panel. And they did this to detect what that person assumed was equal to what the age of the individual standing in front of them was. So interestingly enough, the results did not vary no matter if they were 20-year-olds, 40 or 60-year-old. The actual outcome of this was really surprising to me. They actually thought that people who had uneven skin tone, meaning something that stood out as a dry patch or a red patch or uneven texture or large pores, those individuals were rated actually older than the people who had fine lines and wrinkles, and even those who had deep wrinkles. So think about that. Can you imagine people who have fine lines and wrinkles? We think, oh my goodness, we're showing signs of aging. But to the person looking at you, not you looking in the mirror, but somebody else who's looking at you, what stands out to them for age is actually how uneven the skin tone becomes as we age. So with these two things in mind, and with this study, which showed us that there are more than just one factor to aging, we really went to work and incorporated smart science in leveraging the power of aloe vera, and not just leveraging the power of aloe vera, but activating different parts of aloe vera. So let's get into that. We call it smart science. The skin is a complicated organ, and aloe vera is extremely soothing to the skin. And we knew, having used aloe vera for over 42 years, we know the benefits and what aloe will do for the skin. But what we didn't know until we started to play around is how to activate different elements of aloe vera. So we learned that by isolating the stem cell or an enzyme or activating different elements of aloe vera performed in a completely different way. This was really fun for me as I sat with our scientific team and went over the development of our skincare products and looked at these under a petri dish, under a microscope, and saw these molecules in action. So our scientists said, you know, when we're looking at skincare, we need to understand that the primary function of skincare, is to make sure that we're keeping the balance of the skin. And we do that primarily by driving moisture in and helping prevent the water that evaporates. Now, there is a natural process. You're doing it right now. I'm doing it right now. It's called TOOL, transepidermal water loss. And all it means is that we're evaporating. No, not really, but your skin has this precious reservoir of water, and it begins to lose that as we age. And here's one of the processes that just simply speed up, and that is this process TOOL. It happens faster as we age. And you go back to the reference of a plum and a prune, the exact same fruit. The plum, rich, juicy, taut, firm. A prune is the exact same fruit, only robbed of moisture. So the primary function of our skincare and leveraging aloe vera, we knew, was first to help drive moisture to the skin and prevent that natural water loss. The second thing we looked at was ingredient combinations. And we found, again, that there were key ingredients, that perhaps desert date oil could activate the surfactant part of aloe, the cleansing part of aloe. We found that peptides, when combined with aloe, could activate the stem cell of aloe. So when we look at ingredients on the label, you can't just read them as olive oil or jojoba oil or sunflower oil. You have to realize that as we break them down to the molecular size, we are targeting key attributes in our skincare. We're not just taking a big bowl and saying, oh, we want to create a product designed to lighten and brighten the skin. Let's add a little of this and a dollop of that and mix it all together and put it out for you, the consumer. We go through multiple iterations, and I need you to understand this. I need to stress this. We don't just stop at the first or the second sample that is provided to us. When I get samples, of course, we send it around home office to get people's buy-in, to see what they think. We make modifications, but then I send it outside these walls. I send it to our FBOs all over the world, to leaders, to people who are actually just promoting and promoting to consumers, because that feedback is so important to me as we're creating these textures and these different skincare options. So please know the skincare that we have today at Forever Living Products was a co-collaboration with you, with our FBOs on the ground, with our scientists at Aloevera of America and Forever Nutraceutical, and with aloe vera in a completely different way. Let's take a look at what a scientific involvement in aloe vera can do when it comes to helping your skin. This graphic that you see on the screen right now shows the skin surface. And it's obvious, you have your big molecules and you have your little molecules. I want you to look at those big molecules, and I want you to realize that all different skincare ingredients are looked at the molecular level. That those molecules we look under these petri dishes, under these microscopes, to see how these molecules interact with other molecules. And then we do scenarios where all of these molecules are together and what they would do and mimic if they were put on the skin. Now you see, if they're a larger molecule, they are put in that formula at a larger molecular size for a very strategic reason. And the smaller that molecule size is, I can tell you it's designed to grab other ingredients that may not be so absorbent friendly and pull them into the skin where the skin needs it most. This is critical to understand. There are so many companies out there whose end objective is to create a moisturizer, and they do it at the cheapest way possible with lack of quality, lack of testing, simply to get a product to market. Our company takes almost 2 years in many cases to create a product. And I know that many of you say, oh, get on with it. We talk about these products all the time. We want them. We want to start promoting them and selling them. I want that for you as well. I want you to have these amazing products. We just want to make sure that they're at the highest quality, and not just the highest quality, that these molecules are holding together, that these ingredients are playing friendly in the formulas, and that not do they just hold together, but they excite you when you experience them, that the textures, that the way they absorb, and that the way the skin responds is equally an entire experience start to finish. This next slide is extremely important. We follow a specific labeling requirement that is not legally required in all of our countries. Now, this is important to understand because number one, we are in 160 countries, as you know. Number two, we have formulas or packaging that goes in some cases to 25, 35 countries. We'll have a formula for, let's use for instance, aloe moisturizing lotion. We have one global formula that has multiple versions of labels. Now, we are compliant to every region's regulations, but there are some regions who do not require us to have a specific way of labeling our products. That's pretty scary when you think about it. They're not regulated, they're not monitored, and this international nomenclature for cosmetic ingredients is not a legal requirement in many of our countries. But Rex and Greg are adamant that you, our consumer, are able to not only know what's in your product, but know the source of those ingredients. So we don't just name them by what you would see on the label or what other companies may put on a label. We actually label them by the name that is most recognizable in its technical scientific form. Now, these ingredients may not always sound friendly. In fact, you may read them and you may think, oh, that sounds terrible. It sounds like a chemical. How could this be in my beloved Forever Living product? And you might start to get a little concerned, and your consumer might start asking questions. But I can assure you, by following this international nomenclature for cosmetic ingredients, INCI is what we call it, by following this, you have an opportunity now of 100% transparency of what is in our products. Everything on the label is what is found in the formula. Nothing is hidden from you. And especially in the EU, where your guidelines and regulations, especially for not necessarily the INCI standard, but what we put on the label. For instance, we may have a product that I'm going to talk about here that has zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is a powder. And as you put a powder into a liquid to create a cream, it's very difficult to get that powder to blend with aloe vera and oils. So we have to add water, and we have to add something that will help the water and the powder marry and hold together. How many of you have tried to make bread or muffins or a cake, and you've stirred, or crepes? My goodness, making crepes is so painful for me because the stirring and the trying to incorporate the flour into the liquid, it's such a long, tedious process. And even then, I still have little flour chunks in my crepes. So this same process applies. Now, we do have to add water to hydrate the powder. In a lot of countries, it's not legally required for us to show that water. What would be listed on the label would be zinc oxide, because that is the ingredient that adding two other ingredients to creates. In the EU, we're required to break out even some of those blends. So you have full transparency in what's in your product. And while retinol palmitate or panthenol ethyl ester or tetrahexadecyl ascorbate, say that one 10 times fast. I dare you. My UK FBOs, you guys are so smart. I dare you to say it 10 times fast. Tetrahexadecyl ascorbate, ergocalciferol, and tocopherol acetate. Now, some of those will sound familiar to you, and a lot of you already know what they are. But for those of you who may not have experience with our products, and those of you who may have heard our products are natural, they contain goodness and great ingredients, those ingredients are simply vitamin A, provitamin B5, vitamin C, vitamin D2, and vitamin E. Now let's take vitamin C, for example. That's a raw ingredient. Think of how many forms of vitamin C you have. In fact, we have our absorbent C, which may have ascorbic acid. You have all different types of vitamin C. How do you know if we list vitamin C, how would you know which form of vitamin C is in the formula? Now, it's not important necessarily for you to know what type of vitamin C, but for the work that I do as the Director of Global Product Development, it's really important because vitamin C is a delicate vitamin. And what I know is that when it's exposed to water in a personal care formula and oils, it begins to break down immediately and you lose the efficacy of that vitamin C. Tetrahexadecyl ascorbate is actually the most stabilized form of vitamin C. So you see smart science right there. That's an expensive ingredient, very expensive. But we know that it works and that it will take vitamin C directly where the skin needs it. And as Rex and Greg have always promoted, we do not cut corners. We do not find the cheap way around. We find what works and what is scientifically valid. This is an expensive ingredient. And when we use certain products that contain oils and waters and blends of aloe, tetrahexadecyl ascorbate is the most stable form. So we know that you, the consumer, is getting exactly what you expect in your products. Let's talk a little bit about nature and science, because I know that historically we have talked about Forever Living products as being an all natural product line. All of our products are natural. Please understand that natural is very subjective. There is not a standardized definition nor regulation about what is natural. And when we try to create products for a global market, that's difficult because what is natural in Eastern Europe may not be necessarily natural in Western Europe. What is natural in Japan is certainly not what is considered natural in the United States. So what we perceive to be as natural varies based on where we live. Because there's no standardized